Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we are being joined by Dr. Irene, author of Journey of Riches in Search of Happiness. Dr. Irene, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're looking forward to it. Are you ready to get started?
I am.
All right. Question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Just one piece? Wow. All right. I'll narrow this down. Just get started. Just get started. So many people are writing their books in their head, and they're telling everybody, yeah, I'm writing a book, and it's going to be awesome, and it's on this topic. And yet they are totally frozen when it comes to sitting down, putting their butt in the chair, and just doing it.
And I think that's the main thing. Just do it, get it done. Don't be afraid to take the plunge and just realize that done is better than perfect. The knowledge is in your head. We just got to get it out.
Yeah, it's that fear of failure, right? It's if you don't start it, then you can't fail.
Exactly.
And it can also be the fear of success. Like, oh my goodness, what if I did become that New York Times bestseller? Would I change? Would my family and friends, my community that I have now, would they accept me? Would I still fit in? Right? Even if they're not conscious, that fear of success is huge. Or what if I do it? It just sits in my basement for the rest of my life. So that fear of mediocrity, you just got to call bullshit, BS to the fears and just start. Just do it and just know that you have a message, that you have a calling to write that book. If it's in your heart, you are meant to write it, and it's helping somebody, even if it's just to give them a laugh.
Well, that's the main thing. I think most people suffer from imposter syndrome. They don't think they're good enough, or you have to have this certain whatever it is to be an author, and it's not. You have a story to share. You have something great that you can share with the world. That's how you start, and it's just about connection. It is just about connecting with the reader and then building those relationships from there. Whether you just want to share your story or whether you're using it to build your business, the main thing is you just need to genuinely be able to connect with your reader. And if you can do that, everything else will take care of itself.
That's so true, Paul, because if you have and that connection is something that I teach, is to create your soulmate reader, your avatar for your reader. Who is that person? So that you know exactly who you're writing for. We all think that we want to write to the world and all 7 billion people or however many people are in the world. And the reality is, it's like you need to write for one person, right? Who's your message going to? Even if it's a fiction book, who's your audience? And that one person, and visualize them so that you know they are waiting for your book to come out.
Absolutely. But what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Probably starting writing. It's that we have the biggest fear of, oh my goodness, how am I going to find a publisher, and do I need an agent? And I did that. I went to Hay House's writing workshop thing and to try and find the best way to get myself published. And the reality is, none of that matters if you don't write the book. So that's my final answer on that one.
All right. Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that has worked well.
So the marketing strategy that I and my co-authors used was strictly social media. It was strictly building our brand and building that community of people so that who want to support you and need the message. And so if you're, and it doesn't have to be all social media, pick one. It can be Facebook, it could be Instagram, especially for the younger people. It might be LinkedIn if it's a professional book. And whatever venue you choose, pick that one outlet and really maximize it. Get 5,000 people on your Facebook page, and you can get them. If your book's about knitting, join knitting groups. If it's about sailing, join sailing groups, or sports, or whatever your special interests are that are related to your book. Join there, because those are your potential readers. And build it. It's maybe not as glamorous as massive book launches that used to happen in the olden days, or like I'm thinking Harry Potter and stuff like that. Reality is, it's the tried and true approach nowadays of just build your audience. I think what do they say for a nonfiction book? You need a platform of about 30 to 50,000 people before a publisher will take a look at you. So or you can self-publish. The reality is you still need to build that platform one way or another.
So you mentioned doing some brand building on social media, joining some different social media groups. And then, so what was your strategy to get those people from being a fellow member in the group to being a part of your following? What were your specific strategies that you used to build that up?
Just engaging with them. And so it's not good enough just to create a page and ask people to join it, because, as you know, with the Facebook algorithms and stuff, that they're not going to be able to see your posts half the time. So but the more you engage with them, send them messages on Messenger. Hey, I saw that you liked this. I just want to let you know, and here's a resource you might want to look at. That has nothing to do with your book necessarily, and it's creating conversation. And then when we were coming up to the time of the book launch, we made it a fun thing. It's like, help us pick the cover for a book, and give 2 different book covers. And so pick your choice and tell us why. So in other words, it's engaging them to say, hey, this is happening. And so then they get curious about the book. So by engaging them and saying, so what are the most important things to you? What kind of messages do you need to see and on this topic, and put that in. And then just the teasers of a launch. I know I'm preaching to the choir, you know all this. and then set the date and pick a date and say, this is when we're launching. Would really appreciate it if you would go and buy our ebook. And it's whether it's for 99 cents or $1.99 on Amazon, and just continue hyping it. We did Facebook Lives, we did interviews, we did all of which doesn't cost anything. So that's what we did.
When you mentioned some of the best strategies too in regards to messaging people, offering a resource, doing which book cover you prefer, the A/B testing, teasers for the launch, Facebook Lives. I mean, they're all great strategies. And I don't think there's one perfect strategy to go with that. It's the combination of utilizing all of those different ones, because that's how you truly build a comprehensive strategy, and that's exactly what y'all did.
Mm-hmm. Well, exactly. And it's very much, and it gets to the point where they want to root for you, that they would buy your book whether or not, of course, your book is worthwhile. And they would spend the 99 cents or the $1.99 or whatever price you put on it just to help you, because they're rooting for you. They want you to succeed. So by getting them involved, but asking about the covers, what title do you think? Which title do you like better? That kind of thing. It has them take ownership.
Well, speaking of books, I'd like to know what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it? Well,
I'm a total bookworm, so I scads of books. I just am in the process of writing an article on leadership with with conflict in your team. And so, of course, Simon Sinek's Start With Why and his other books come to mind. And what I loved about that book is that it really speaks to the number one leverage, and that is, what is your why? What is your purpose? What is your reason for getting up in the morning? Why are you writers writing this book? Why? And of course, we're more motivated by pain typically than pleasure. So make sure you associate yourself with, what happens if I don't write this book? What's the pain associated with this? Is this knowledge that people need and they're waiting and they're possibly suffering because they don't have it? Or is it because, or it may be that my creative outlet will never be satisfied and I may go to the end of my days. I call it the obituary vision. What do I want to have my obituary say about me? And so maybe it's that kind of pain. What's the pleasure associated with writing this book? Is it that I get to see the joy on people's faces? If it has, comedy in it, I want to see them laugh. I want to help people improve their lives. Whatever that purpose is, whatever your passion is, get fired up about it, because that's what's going to help get your butt in the seat to write. Or in my case, I have a walking desk, a treadmill walking desk I made. So whatever it is, get your butt there and get into action writing. Start writing, because, and keep in mind that your soulmate avatar reader is waiting for this book, and they really, 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 really need it.
Well, and Lao Tzu said it best, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first steps. Just get started.
Yes.
Well, for our final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote is, I think of all time just about, and that's a tough one because I have many, is by Viktor Frankl. And Viktor Frankl is a neuropsychiatrist who survived 4 Holocaust death camps in World War II. And he went on to write his first book, The Meaning of Man, and he said, everything can be taken from a man but one thing: his ability to think and respond in any given situation. And this man, of course, underwent the severest degradation, humiliation, starvation, constant threat of death, losing his family members. I mean, he, and as most of them did, experienced the worst of the worst as far as what could happen to a human being in this lifetime. And yet he said that everything can be taken from you but the one thing, your ability to think and respond in any given situation, in which you have the responsibility to choose. You may not be able to choose what happens to you. You do have the choice as to how you are going to allow that to impact your life. So it's taking you from that feeling victimized by life. I love the Dire Straits song, "Are you the bug? Are you the windshield? Or are you the windshield wiper? Are you the bug or the windshield wiper?" So in other words, are you the victim of your story or are you the hero of your story? And so how many people are so caught up and balled up in life and life circumstances and excuses and justifications, and they're not making themselves the hero of their story and writing their book.
That's a great point. Well, Dr. Irene, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Well, the easiest way, since we're talking social media, is I have a Facebook page, Dr. Irene, capital DR, period, Irene. I have a YouTube channel, Dr. Irene. I have my website is DocIreneOnline.com. And I have Dr. Irene on LinkedIn. Try to make it easy for people.
I think that's pretty clear. So, Dr. Irene, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.